Good morning, Pelham Road. Happy Friday to you. I just got back from my morning walk, so I'm a little bit I'm thirsty and kind of sweating a bit. So it's not a long devotion this morning. You know, it's Friday. We usually do something like Shaka Khan Friday, but this is not Shaka Khan Friday. Let's, we kind of did a reality check at the beginning of the week, and I'm doing one to sort of close out the week. You know, we really got to admit it, 2020 has been a challenging year. I mean, no need of sugarcoating it or saying it any other way. The COVID numbers continue to rise. I mean, we had 60,000 deaths in one, or not 60,000 deaths, 60,000 cases in one day. I talked to a lot of people during the week. Some are, trying to carry on business as usual, but many are hunkered down and quite concerned. And so I looked and I decided to do what I oftentimes do, and that is try to find a historical comparison. Instead of talking about 2020, which can become rather divisive, talk about something else. Talk about some other era where you had a difficult situation and sort of the historical relevance of that and what came out of that. So I'm going to read you what I prepared this morning about 1968. The Vietnam War was in full swing, and in the paper and on television daily. Israel and Jordan were involved in a heated military conflict. Meanwhile, back in America, 3 teenagers were shot in a civil rights protest in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And a Pan Am flight was hijacked out of New York City, and so the Age of Terror began. Yet the hardest part of 1968 to comprehend was both Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. were assassinated. Truly, we were wondering what was happening to our beloved country. And today, I think there are people who are wondering the same thing. What is happening to America? We were apprehensive and concerned. Yet something else was happening. In fact, there were some good things happening. They were just bumped off the front page and back to the Metro section of the paper, as we said in those days. I only have time to tell you about one, Apollo 8. This was the second manned mission to space. This was only 6 years. That's the extraordinarily fascinating thing about this. This was only 6 years after President Kennedy announced that the United States was going to go to the moon. Apollo 8 lifted off on December 21st, and it returned December 27th. So naturally, the astronauts celebrated Christmas in space. After such a tumultuous year, with the American people concerned about tomorrow, who would have thought that a prayer could pull us together? Further, if it was going to be a prayer that pulled us together, surely Oral Roberts or Billy Graham, one of the spiritual leaders of '68, would have to do it. But oddly enough, a prayer did pull us together. A prayer that was featured in the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune, but it did not come from any sort of religious leader. It wasn't even a prayer offered from Earth. Far away in space, Commander Frank Borman of the Apollo 8 space mission offered this Christmas prayer as the sun was setting on 1968. I've made just a word or two adjustment in this prayer to update it. This was his prayer from space in 1968. Give us, O God, the vision which can see your love in the world in spite of human failure. Give us the faith to trust your goodness in spite of our own ignorance and weakness. Give us the knowledge that we may continue to pray with understanding hearts. And show us what each one of us can do to set forward the coming of the day of equality, peace, and justice. Amen. Have a great weekend.